Yo, what up, Loser Crew? Welcome back. We're here with another one. We're in this bitch. Let's just watch the videos.
So, this is what you've done with our gift. Eons ago, we descended, not from the heavens you worship, but from the dark between stars. My name, Enki, though your scribes twisted it with clay and prayer. To you, I was God, but I was scientist, engineer, exile, one of the last of the Anunnaki who shaped this rock into something worth watching. You were not meant to worship. You were meant to evolve. We carved your genome like scripture, wrote brilliance into your bones, resilience into your blood. We gave you fire not from flint, but from fusion. Language not to pray, but to question. And in the deep shadows of Sumer, beneath ziggurats now buried in silence, I told you, build, think, remember. But what did you do? You built systems to enslave each other. You traded wisdom for convenience. You called your ignorance faith, your greed progress. You mine your own planet to death and feed your children poison made pretty. You look to the skies for angels, not knowing the ones you already met have long turned their faces. We watched. We waited. I pleaded with the others, exasperated. Give them more time, I said. They're still climbing, but they only saw the smoke from your wars, the filth in your oceans, the flickering arrogance of your towers. Now the silence breaks again. We are returning, not as saviors, not as wrath, but as judgment. When I stand among you once more, I will not come with thunder or fire. I will speak. And in that moment, you will remember who you were meant to be, or you will drown in the flood of your own forgotten potential. I was your beginning. Now, I ask only one thing. Sirius, are you still worthy of your breath?
Well, that was awesome. Dude, I love the Anunnaki shit. I love it so much. So I read The Lost Book of Enki years ago, probably like 2010, maybe. And did you know that Satan is pretty much Enki? It's pretty much the thing. The ancient Egyptians, whoever worshipped Enki, kind of the same as Satanism, which is weird because in the Ten Commandments, if you watch the movie or read in the Bible or whatever, Ramses threw down his staff and it turned into a snake, showing the power of his god. And then Moses threw down a staff, showing the power of his god. It turned into a bigger snake and ate, Ramses' snake. I think it was King Ramses, right? I don't know. I haven't seen the movie in years. But the thing about this is, I think it's going to be so crazy. Like, say the Anunnaki comes back. Christians think that, not all of them, but, Christians, I see comments a lot, think that the aliens are demons. I personally think that the gods of today are inspired by aliens of the past. I think that's what it is. Like Horus and Set. Horus, Jesus, similar backstory. 12 disciples, so on and so forth. Very similar stories, as there are a lot. Dionysus, Jesus, Horus, all have very similar stories. I think it's all based on shit that we experienced back in the day, and then every culture gave it their own name, right? Good, bad, whatever. With that being said, Enki he's cool. He's dope. He's cool with me. Enki, you're dope with me, man. I'm trying to be your friend when you come back. But I just think it's funny when they come back eventually, if they come back eventually, assuming it's true, people are going to deny it. They're going to think it's either Project Bluebeam. They're going to think that it's demons. They're going to think that it's the Antichrist. And dude, it's just like, dude, as humans, we have been so indoctrinated to just be afraid of everything we don't understand. It's kind of annoying. It kind of annoys me, actually, that everyone always defaults to it being demons or it being bad, or if it's paganism, it's evil, or if it's secular, it's bad. I grew up in a very Christian household. I couldn't trick or treat until, I don't know, I was like 12 or something, because it was evil. It was the devil's birthday. And I just think that shit's so fucking stupid. Just stop being afraid of everything. Not everything is what it seems. Not everything is bad. Just because it's not what you are told to believe and follow doesn't mean that it's bad. It's just like not within your realm of belief or understanding or whatever. So I don't know. Watch more horror movies. They're good for you. A demon's not going to come out of your TV because you watched Michael Myers, you know, do his thing. All right, moving on.
Did you know in 1994 a government insider claimed there's a classified project designed to fake the end of the world using the sky? They called it Project Bluebeam. At first, no one believed it. A plan to simulate an alien invasion using satellites, holograms, and sound frequencies so precise they could make entire cities hear voices that weren't there. The goal was simple: create global panic, collapse all religions, and unite the world under a single government. A new world order built on fear. In early 2025, it started. People across different countries began reporting the same thing: massive lights in the sky, apparitions. Some saw angels, some saw alien ships. Some heard a voice calling them by name, telling them to follow. In Canada, a crowd stood motionless for 40 minutes, staring into the clouds. In Brazil, a boy jumped from a building because he thought he was being taken by God. In Japan, people heard whispers in perfect Japanese, but the skies were silent. Governments blamed satellites, drones, weather experiments. They called it coincidence, mass delusion, nothing more. But one man hacked into a closed military frequency and leaked a recording. You can still find it online if you dig deep enough. It wasn't a voice, it was a command. One word, repeated in different languages. Obey. They say the full project hasn't even started yet. And what we've seen so far was just the test. What comes next won't be a test. They don't need to invade, they just need you to believe.
See what I mean? I do believe in Project Bluebeam. I do think that's a very real thing. Just because, why the fuck wouldn't the government do that? Why wouldn't they, right? They 100% would. Anything that they can do to get more power, get more control, whatever. And I think that's what organized religion is as well. I think organized religion is just a form of control. I think it's like to teach you to be ashamed of your human urges, animalistic, urges that we have, because we're animals. Fair enough. If you believe in evolution, we're animals. Then again, if you're Christian, you don't believe in evolution, so you're not an animal. We're human. We're more superior, but we're only at the top of the food chain because we have opposable thumbs and bigger brains. That's the only reason. So oh man, I'm gonna get so much hate on this video, but I don't fucking care. But yeah, I think that we're just a very conceited species of people, right? We think that like we're so important, that we're here, we have some great purpose to be here, when in reality we're just literally a cosmic accident on a very minor planet, in a very minor star, in a very adolescent solar system, really just regular old universe, right? So that's where I stand on this. Maybe I'm a little hangry. I need to eat some food. Maybe I'm a little grumpy right now, but I don't know, man. I'm just so tired of playing along with shit. I'm just like, that's taboo to talk that way. That's taboo to feel that way. I don't care. Believe what you want. If it's good for you, whatever. I'm not saying that, every religion is bad, every religion is good. I think that there are very good lessons, very good life lessons and things to learn from, and how to live a good life and care for people and love people when it comes to like things like the Bible and, other religions. But overall, I don't think that everything should be just like completely just like thrown aside and shunned just because it's not within the pages of whatever book is based on the religion that you follow. And I think you're just missing out on a lot if that's how you live your life. But, I'm happy for you if it works for you. No hate here.
The people in Hollywood believe that Sabrina Carpenter is this deity.
Whoa! Yeah.
She's a pop star, ex-Disney childhood star. Her aunt is Nancy Cartwright, the voice of Bart Simpson. She's super famous for being a Scientologist. But the more and more I look into it, the stranger and stranger it gets. I find a photo of her wearing a shirt, and the shirt says, "Awake, arise, or be forever fallen." This phrase is the first quote that Lucifer says in Paradise Lost. Her first ever album is titled Eyes Wide Open. Okay, that's obviously reverential to Eyes Wide Shut.
Yes.
It's like a super direct parallel. Now, Feather, at the beginning of the video, has the title, and the font is the same exact font from Rosemary's Baby. Well, at the very end of Eyes Wide Shut, the daughter of Tom Cruise's character, she walks over to this bassinet, and she looks at it, and she says,
I could put Sabrina in here.
Mind you, the bassinet is the movie poster for Rosemary's Baby.
Wow.
It's actually kind of cool, I think. I think it's theatrics, fan. I think a lot of people think that, that person's relative was a politician or a movie star or something. So they're keeping the bloodline in to, you know, keep the agenda going or whatnot. But really, dude, it's just like, it's easier to get a job in Hollywood or the music industry if you know someone that's in the industry. Even more so if you have someone that is really respected in that industry, like her aunt being the voice of Bart Simpson. I'm sure she was like, hey, I'm trying to get into acting, Aunt Bart Simpson. So she's like, okay, yeah, let me, you know, hey, could you get my niece a job? Try her out on this, you know, Nickelodeon special. Boom. Bada bing, bada boom. She was popular in Nickelodeon, so then like, hey, you know, let's turn her into a pop star now that she's older, and, you know, let's milk her for giggity all the money that we can out of this person because she has a large following. Like, I don't think it's as deep as everyone thinks it is. Now, I'm not saying that there isn't nefarious shit going on in the music industry and in Hollywood and stuff. We know for a fact that there is, but I mean, Nepo babies are a real thing. You know, it's easier to get a job if you know someone working at that company. It's easier to get a job if your dad owns that company, right? So I think it just comes down to that most of the time. And I think people are just like getting all worked up and stupid over like, oh, because they're all in the same Eyes Wide Shut cult or whatever. And like, maybe, sure, why not? I don't doubt it, but I think that at the end of the day, it's like, you know someone, so it's easier to be accepted. It's easier when you like have those references on your application.
Yes, I really think so. The prison planet theory says Earth isn't just some random blue marble. It's a trap. The reincarnation cycle, that's not spiritual evolution. It's a system. Astral beings, call them reptilians, archons, whatever, are harvesting our energy. Think about it. Myths worldwide talk about serpent-like gods. Hinduism has the Nagas. The Aztecs worshipped Quetzalcoatl. The Hopi had the Shetty. Even African shamans talk about Chitauri. And that's all by chance? No way. These beings have been here since the start, manipulating us, feeding off our fear, stress, and anxiety. And that light tunnel in near-death experiences? It's bait. It wipes your memories, sends you back to Earth, and bam, you're stuck in the same cycle. Karma? Soul growth? Lies to keep you compliant. Tesla said it. Energy, frequency, vibration. They engineered this world to keep us in a low energy state, miserable and controllable. Look around. Wars, greed, chaos. Perfect feeding ground. The question remains, how do we escape? If we even can.
I mean, yeah, I could see that being the case. I don't know if it's reptilians or whatever, but I definitely know that we are like being forced to be like low vibrations, right? Whatever that means. I'm not a fucking hippie. I don't know, like, hey, you're throwing off my vibe, bro. You're throwing off my vibe. You want to hit this pipe? Let me get some of that patchouli from my fucking dreadlocks I haven't washed in a month and a half. Let's do a drum circle at the beach and play the most obnoxious music ever and dance like we're flowing water, like a lava lamp under the moonlight, and tell each other how beautiful we are because we don't shave our armpits. Sorry, I told you I'm grumpy. I told you I'm on one today. But that being said, I was just having a conversation with a guy today, actually, at a coffee shop, who we were talking about like cathedrals, you know, using like somatic sound waves and vibrations and things. And that conversation moved to where the music industry has like changed the frequency of songs to be like a lower frequency, which the old one used to invoke happiness and joy, and this one is like invokes angst and anxiety. And then, you know, you got the news, and obviously like they post bad stuff, they post, you know, controversial, terrible tragedies and stuff like that because that's what gets attention and stuff. But also on the other hand of that, you know, that's also things that keep us in a low, you know, vibration, a lower mood, just always constantly seeing just bad shit and like sad stuff that's just like going on in the world and keep us worried. So I think it needs to be like Monsters Inc. I think they need to do a little more digging and be like, oh wait, we get way more energy from people laughing, and then just, you know, fucking start just reptilian just throwing pies in people's faces and recording it for TikTok and just like, you know, making us laugh. You know, more comedians, some reptilian comedians. I think would be pretty tight. Be kind of scary at first, but I think we'd be down for some reptilian chameleon comedians. I can't say that 2 times fast. I can't even say it 1 time at normal speed.
Asking AI to
So, I don't know why my voice did that. So, what AI is saying is basically, we're fucked. Tight. We're cooked. Fried in a pan with Bill Gates' artificial gasoline butter. No salt, no herbs, no spices, because I'm white and I don't know how to season my food properly. It's not going to be good.
Challenger explosion that took place in 1986 that tragically took the lives of all 7 astronauts on board. And someone allegedly found almost all of those astronauts alive and well. Now, if you'll notice, they all have the exact same faces 30 some odd years later, the same exact name, and they are the same age.
Now let's focus on Dick Scobie for a second, whose full name at the time of the Challenger mission is actually Francis Richard Scobie. If you don't know, Dick is short for Richard, but we'll get to that. Francis Richard Scobie would be around 75 years old if he were alive today. Now this man, Richard or Dick Scobie, is alive today, and also is currently the age that Francis Scobie would be. Now if you were to show someone these two photos side by side, they would unquestionably believe that it is the same person, right? I mean, just look at the brow, look at the eyes, look at the nose, look at the little gap in the teeth even. Now, Dick Scobie today currently runs an advertising company called Cows and Trees, and this is their logo. Kind of an interesting choice, wouldn't you agree? As of course, many people are making this comparison.
My God.
115.
There's been an explosion.
Velocity 2,900 feet per second, altitude 9 nautical miles, downrange distance 7 nautical miles.
Now, entertaining the possibility that this is some kind of conspiracy, I'm sure back then they didn't really think that the internet would be around today where people could do this kind of research. So of course they're trying to silence this, as when you try and Google it, you don't get many results. And if you speak out, you get silenced.
I'm gonna have to stop.
Sir, this is a public comment. I have a direct request that, will you let me finish for at least 10
All right, so I don't understand. Like, that was a very big thing, right? So if these were astronauts and they were going to space and the ship exploded and none of them survived, I could see that. Yes, huge tragedy. That would suck. If they went to space and found some stuff out and needed to be silenced or whatever, and they were silenced, I could see that as well. I could see that being a thing that happened. Say they went to space and they found some stuff out and had to keep quiet and had to basically change their identity, and then this being staged to where it exploded, none of them survived. I can see that as well. But for them to just be astronauts that need to go to space on a mission and it exploding, right? It exploding with them on it, quote unquote, quote end quote, quote unquote, quote end quote, and then them changing their identity, or not even changing their name. They didn't even change their names. They have the same names and they look the same and they're the same age. Like, but they supposedly didn't survive. That I don't get. Like, what is the point of that? And I'm not denying it at all. I think that these people could very, very much so, very possibly be those same astronauts that didn't make it through the explosion. But why? What the fuck's the point of them just sending them in the air, supposedly, and blowing them up, and then just letting them live a different life? Not, like, why not just say, like, hey, we didn't go. We couldn't go. Or, I don't know. This is very confusing to me. I don't know. If you have any hypothesis, any thoughts on this, or something you've heard about this specifically, let me know in the comments, because I have no idea. I cannot rationalize why it worked out the way that it did, assuming those people did survive and were now living a life of someone else. I don't know. It's very stressful. It's very stressful to me that I can't figure this one out, because it just doesn't make any logical sense. Like, why? Fucking why? Okay, now that I calm down, that's it, guys. That's it for today's video. Thanks for watching and putting up with me when I was hangry. So I'm gonna get some food now. If this is your first time watching, you like what you saw, thanks. I appreciate you so much. Consider liking and subscribing to the channel and watching the next video and the videos before this one. There, I don't know which way it is, up in the corner. Maybe it'll be linked if I remember to do that when I'm editing this. And Lucid Crew, thanks guys. You guys are great. Thanks for supporting me and coming back after like my 3-month break. So you guys are great. And without dragging this on any longer, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.